for week 4 of October, the last week of October. Now, looking at this news for the week, right, economic calendar, we're starting out with nothing on Monday, nothing on Tuesday. Wait, let me sure. Yeah, okay, EU and GU just have no folders this week. So no euro, no pound folders. And when it comes to dollar folders, obviously due to the government shutdown, the Thursday and Friday folders most likely won't actually release. So that leaves us with just F1C. And now, as I'm being made aware at the moment, just based on this time, next week is going to be the time where here in Germany we're shifting the clock already, and US doesn't yet for I think another week usually. That means everything's going to be an hour earlier for me. So that's, I guess, interesting to note for myself personally. Let me see. Yeah, after that it goes back to normal. All right. Let's dig into the charts here. So we're starting out on dollar. Now, what can we say for dollar? Well, firstly, looking at the weekly chart, we can say that we have the first week of October, or like, I'd say this is already the second week to be honest, and then next week will be the 5th because this week down here was majority October. Anyway, this weekly candle here, and then we have an inside weekly candle to that weekly candle, and then last week we had an inside weekly candle to the prior. So we have like 2 weekly candles stacked in a row. So that initially just gives me the idea that dollar is low probability at the moment. And yeah, not to put too much emphasis on anything right now. Now, bar that, we can see that after we had purged this sell side pool a while back and kind of been respecting this weekly gap, we've now respected this propulsion block right here. So to me, overall, it's low probability, but I am bullish. And then dropping down to the daily chart, we can see that we so far are digging deep into this daily gap here. We haven't inversed it yet, which we have done with the equivalent daily gap on the majors. On both majors, we inversed that for them bullish daily gap that coincides with this one on dollar. But we have formed a new fresh bullish daily fair value gap, which it seems that we are respecting. So far, we dug into it just with a wick here on Friday with CPI last week. But yeah, we didn't go even to consequent encroachment, so we stayed in the upper half, which is always a good sign. And yeah, so honestly, overall, I am bullish on dollar, and I would expect if we break out of that range on the weekly, for us to do it towards this side, right? And this high right here would be then that weekly high, and then this high right here would be the previous week high. So I think previous week high we should take no matter what, which is just this. Oh, not that. This, right? And then I expect, honestly, if we do get some good price action, that we would run up until here. But like I said, like pretty low probability conditions here on dollar. And then the same goes for the majors, right? If you really want to take it at face value, you could very much just point to this as a weekly consolidation that we're in, right? Like, you don't have to try to be a genius within this. It's really just a weekly consolidation. Now, pound is a little more bearish than consolidated. Jumping down to the daily gap, we can also see that by the fact that we don't only have one daily bearish gap on pound, but we have 2, one of which we respected and then traded lower, and we have daily SMT here to euro, where euro dug into that initial daily gap and so far has not left it yet. Euro's basically doing the same thing dollar's doing, just a tad more bullish than dollar is bearish. But yeah, overall, same notion applies here. I'm bearish on majors, but keeping the kind of low probability underlying conditions in mind. And then moving on, we have indices. Now, indices are a bit more simple, in my opinion. After that big drop 2 weeks ago on that Friday, we've just been rallying again. We had that drop into the thingy, and then we had this weekly order block here that we tapped and dipped higher from. So yeah, I'm bullish on indices, and my hope for this week would be that we form a daily gap here, like something like this, right? One day kind of like a bullish consolidation type day, and then we can maybe retrace into that daily gap and look for a continuation, which would also be nice because the daily gap would be overlapping with the old all-time high. So displacement through that buy-side liquidity is always a good sign for continued higher prices. So that's indices, right? Really simple. And then last but not least, let's go on to silver and gold. Let's start on gold. Gold could very well, we could see a retrace into this weekly gap here on gold pretty easily. We did immediately rebalance to this candle's high, right? And we do also have weekly consecutive candle SMT where gold failed to take previous week low while silver did take previous week low. So there would also be some reasons, in my opinion, for us not to dip down below here and into that weekly gap. I'm honestly, I guess I hope we don't, because I am in this long here that was a valid setup for my model, but I'm not going to delve into that here because this is just the outlook and not any trade related necessarily stuff. But yeah, anyway, so on gold, I either see us pushing higher just off this daily discount, right, deep discount daily gap here, or we start the week and we kind of get a retracement into that weekly gap and then look for higher prices from there. Either works for me. You know, either would make sense in my opinion, and that's kind of the outlook for gold. So, yeah. And I guess that's the outlook done then. I mean, I guess we can take a quick look at bonds just to see what they would be in terms of supporting that bearish bullish dollar bearish majors narrative, which would mean these should be bearish. I honestly think they're in a pretty good spot for that because we did just purge this buy side here, and so far just kind of wicked it with no stop loss. No body, I mean, forming above there, and then same on the other bond pairs. Exactly. So yeah, to me, bearish bond potentially price action could very much support the notion of what we're looking for on majors. And then obviously you're thinking, well, bullish on dollar, bullish on gold, question mark. But I mean, right, while dollar has been making this rally, gold has been making this rally. So obviously it doesn't have to be perfectly in sync at all times. So that's not like a big issue for me. Anyway, that's the recap, and yeah,